Yo, welcome back to another edition of the Men Who Cry podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, review, tell a friend, 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 tell a friend. If you don't do these things, I have to assume that you will give that Lil Wayne album 5 mics. On today's episode, we will be talking about that Lil Wayne album. Do the New York Knicks know what they're doing? Going, but the thing we will start with is the NBA Finals. We have the upstart Indiana Pacers up 2-1 against the heavily favored Oklahoma City Thunder. And it's crazy to think that the Pacers are 2 wins away from winning the NBA championship. I don't know how many people picked them for the start of the season to make the finals, let alone win the whole thing. And I think at this point, you got to stop looking at them. Maybe you should stop looking at this from a while ago as like this what's kind of happening team. We have seen teams kind of do a version of this. The team that comes to mind, and ironically, it's coached by the same coach, is the 2011 Dallas Mavericks, where the Mavericks had a harder run to get to the championship because they had to beat that OKC team. They had to beat the Lakers team with Kobe and Gasol was on it. That had just previously won the championship. And then they had to beat the Heat in the NBA Finals. Their road is not going to be as daunting as that, though they were to face some pretty heavy competition. It's still not the same level as that team, but this idea that like they weren't favored in any series, they are now 2 wins away, and they just play a style of ball that is just exhausting. And I've already been wrong. I picked OKC in a sweep. That was what I was going to go with. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Maybe I'll just go down with the ship. I think OKC will still win this series just because I think the thing that's happened is that the Pacers have been able to do the one thing to the Thunder that the Thunder did to everyone else, is that turn them over. And that's one thing about the Pacers is if you turn them over, the difference in the series, I think, is that when OKC gets turnovers, they haven't been able to generate a lot of offense from that. When Indiana gets turnovers against OKC, they're automatic buckets just because they have so many guys that can do so much with the ball. And, this postseason has just been a referendum on, again, how many guys you can actually play out there that can do the things that you need them to do to help you win your ball games. So I'm not sitting up here saying this is a moment for SGA to quote-unquote step up, but you're the MVP of the league, and this is the moment in time for this to go down. Chet did not have a good game the last game, and I think that it is going to be incumbent on Shea to not try and win this on his own. He needs everyone else around him to have good games and to keep the defense where it is. There's a stat that looks, and this is kind of the main stat of the whole playoffs. If Indiana gets to 110, you're not beating them. You're just not. You have to find a way to slow them down, and it's so hard because you end up finding yourself playing in their pace, right? You end up just running all the time. And so it's going to be tough for OKC to try to come back. Game 4, I feel like a lot of times in these series is the series. If Indiana wins Game 4, they will be the NBA champions. If OKC is able to get this 2-2 going back to OKC, it's very much alive for OKC, but OKC is in a very much must-win situation. And this, to me, you can argue it probably goes back to Denver when they're in round 2 of all right, is this kind of the moment for them? And they're able to win that game on the road in Denver. And that series went 7. They end up winning in 7 games. I feel very much the same way, that this very much can be their season right here, right now, and then you need your best to be their best when the time is available. It's always funny that we tend to do this thing media-wise where it's like people will, whatever the result is, ends up being the dominant conversation. I go back to thinking about Tibbs switching out Josh Hart into the starting and putting Mitch Robinson in the starting lineup. And the main criticism for him to do that is, why'd you do that too late, right? Why'd you do that too late? And then you see Mark Dagnall basically not only take Hartenstein out the starting lineup, which they've done before, but not put in Caruso, they put in Case and Wallace. And they stuck with that, and now they're down 2-1. And now the criticism is, why would you do that? You did something all year, it worked, and what's so happened? I think these decisions are really hard. I don't think anything is done with like ease or precision. I think guys think really hardly about it, and it's way easier for us at the end of the day to be like, well, it didn't work, so it was a fucking terrible idea. Obviously, if the idea doesn't work, it's not a great idea. I just think that playing the results game just seemed kind of ridiculous, so to make it seem like it was a crime to start Casey Wallace. Casey Wallace is really fucking good. And the idea to start him made a lot of sense because this Pacers team is really, 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 really fast. And it doesn't seem like you can play the two big lineups with Hartenstein and Chet as much as you could in other series just because like they're just flying up the floor, especially when Turner isn't in the game for the Pacers. I definitely think that OKC has left a lot of meat on the bones. When they get turnovers, they haven't been scoring as efficiently. I think that's the real difference in this series right now. And again, like it always has been for the Pacers, they are what their name is, pace. You have to find a way to slow them down. If you aren't able to slow them down, you have no chance of trying to win this series. But next game will be Friday. By the time you guys share this, the series will be out. And yeah, I have OKC winning game 4, but I've been wrong a lot in this series, so we'll see how that kind of like transitions and moves forward. The bigger thing I want to talk about was actually this Lil Wayne project. Lil Wayne, Tunchi, as he was once known and called. I still don't know if Tunchi is asshole in French. Like I heard that as a kid. I don't know if that was ever confirmed or not. Whatever, that's neither here nor there. He dropped the Carter 6 this past week. And let me just take a nice little step back. I don't even remember the record where Lil Wayne was like, I know it in my head, but I don't know the name of the song. But basically when Lil Wayne was just like, yo, I got 10 bathrooms, I can shit all day. It's like, back in 2010 when he dropped that was cool. In 2025 when he's dropping those bars, it just doesn't really hit the same. I think someone put it the best. It's like Lil Wayne never really had a point of anything. So when you get to a guy who's pushing 50 at this point, he's not a type of rapper that's going to age well, right? Like a Nas or a Jay-Z, their lives are so different now than it was when they were in their 20s, 30s, just coming up. Not only that, Lil Wayne has basically been 30 from 15. Like he was rapping from when he was a kid, like a preteen, to now. This is 30 years of rap. And while there's something tremendous, I literally combine the word tremendous and commendable. There's something commendable about that. Something that I think is really remarkable. We've just gotten to the point with him where it's like this ain't really it no more. Me personally, I was not listening to the Carter 6 just because I listened to damn near every Lil Wayne album and I could just see this trajectory going a certain way, and I'm like, I am super good on this. But it's not even that per se with him. Like, it's to me the overall state of rap and the fact that we don't have the rap stars in the way that we used to have rap stars, right? There was already a stat, or someone already posted, the last couple of people who've won the best male hip hop artist award, right? Y'all know Kendrick Lamar won that for like the last 4 years. Just one album in that span. And he won best male rapper for 4 years in a row. Now, again, the BET Awards aren't like the standard of which, determines who's hot, but there gets to a point where I feel like I've said this a couple of times where like rap only needs to have like a reawakening or like a resurgence of itself, because there are a lot of rappers who are sub 30 that I think, people who are that age probably know or are like, yo, this is my guy or something like that. But the fact that there's not one star, I mean, true star in that male field, I think is a really big problem. Whereas you have Cardi B, you have Doechii, you have Lotto, Megan Thee Stallion. These women have been dominating for years now, literally years now, and are winning all the awards and are doing all the stuff. And it's just, there's not a male counterpart to match them in any kind of way. The only one that you can kind of maybe say is Playboy Cardi. And that was this year, I felt like was his first year of saying, I'm that guy, I'm him. You know, I have the ability to carry this thing. And yet you just don't really see the next one. We're still being carried by the likes of Drake and Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, and the clips are coming back now. Pusha T and No Malice, or I guess he's going back to Malice, just dropped a song, and that was like one of the best songs I've heard this year, right? And these guys are, one of them's in their 50s, man. And I just, it's got to be organic. You can't determine and say this guy's the next guy to rap, or this person's the next person to rap. This stuff has to come out organically. And I'm just very curious and frankly nervous about who that next person is and where that person is going to take the industry just going forward. It's a very interesting and honestly baffling time to have rap be where it's at, where it's almost like you need these kind of old guards to just keep this thing going as long as they can. And then essentially trying to make this pivot over to like a new fresh face. Right. And I would also argue a lot of this is the fact that the old guard never really featured a lot of these guys. The reason why I think Playboy Cardi had a lot more of a palatable taste to his music this time around was, in part, the music was just frankly better. But secondly, Kendrick Lamar was clearly all over this. Whether you want to say he influenced him to do this or that, that's neither here nor there. But the point is that that's an old guard showing you like, no, this is the next guy up. Hove used to do that with these same guys. Okay. Nas would do that with these same guys. Snoop would do that with these guys. It would bring them along and say, no, this is the next ones. And it's just not happening. I just feel like there's just like very serious disconnect between the rappers of my generation and the next generation. And that fusion dance needs to happen at some point for this artistry to live, or as some people have suggested, it has to almost die and be rebirthed into some new form of what it is. And I don't know what that's going to be or what that even looks like. But it is very troubling sign that one, an older rapper just put out straight garbage. But secondly is that I can't name you many rappers under 25 years old who are like dominant, you know? And people are always like, oh, Playboy Cardi's 30 years old. This man is not a child, no longer. So yeah, last little bit of news. We're going to touch back on the hottest topic, because apparently when you have a game played in Oklahoma City and in Indianapolis, Indiana, people don't necessarily want to keep talking about that. No, they want to talk about your New York Knicks for like the zillionth time, and they stopped playing basketball a long time ago. The coaching search is still on. As of right now, the reports are that the New York Knicks have been denied access to speak to Ime Udoka, Chris Finch, Quinn Snyder, Billy Donovan, and Jason Kidd. So they are 0 of 5 as of right now. As it stands, the Knicks are looking to talk to, reportedly, Taylor Jenkins, the former coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, and the former coach of the Sacramento Kings, Mike Brown. Mike Brown's coached for a lot of different teams, actually. So here's the two sides of the whole conversation. One, it's summertime. I just talked to you about how the NBA Finals isn't as blinging as it has been. So what are the things that people are going to talk about? The off seasons. So we're going to talk about trades, the two trades that people keep going back and forth on, the Kevin Durant and Giannis trades, and of course who the Knicks are going to hire. The jokes are there, to be completely frank, because the Knicks no longer decide to have media availability and to actually ask questions or to answer questions. You leave people up with the ability for room for interpretation. And when you leave people up room of interpretation, You allow for nonsense to be spewed, right? And they have to wear that. This, while it is a successful season, this is something that they caused on themselves. Now, do I ultimately think any of this actually matters, right? Not really. Like, it just matters who the coach is. I vividly remember when Frank Vogel was hired to be the Los Angeles Lakers coach. Multiple people turned them down. I mean, numerous people turned him down and didn't want the job, right? And then Frank Vogel got the job and they won the championship that year, right? And it wasn't like this big name hire. He just came in, did his job, and then they won the title. I am less worried about the coach because I think whoever they're going to come in terms of X's and O's, frankly, is going to either be as good as Tibbs or worse. I don't think you're getting a guy who's going to be better at actual X's and O's than Tom Thibodeau. The reason why I think Tom Thibodeau was fired was because I think the players just got sick and fucking tired of him and the way he was running things, and they just needed a new voice. I don't necessarily think it's like a game plan thing or anything like that. I think it's like, these are the players you brought me in and this is what I'm going to do with the best of my abilities with these guys that I have on the roster. I am more or less thinking that still Jason Kidd is going to be the coach of the Knicks, just because while they denied access, if you listen to Ian Beckler's report or people talking around there, there still seems to be some type of conversation that takes place. Also, the fact that it very much seemed that all the other coaches that denied access or to interview their coaches, it very much happened very quickly. The rebuttals happened very fast. Whereas with Kidd, it just kind of stayed out there, and it came out that there was mutual interest between Kidd and the Knicks. And then it finally came out that the Mavericks are denying access or denying the request to interview him. And I just think there's too much smoke there for me to think that situation is completely done and over with. I still think that there's a more than likely chance that Jason Kidd will be traded to the New York Knicks. And the draft is in a couple of weeks. I don't necessarily think you need to have the coach anytime soon. I definitely think you need to get the coach before the draft. I would strongly recommend that. The Knicks do have a draft pick. But this is more or less, it seems to be, we do not like Dolan, and this is our time to take shots at the Knicks through Dolan, versus it being like, oh man, like, look how stupid they are. They did all this. Like, half these motherfuckers hated Tibbs anyway. We'd always complain about his rotations. Always talk about how he wasn't that good of a coach. So now it's a bad idea that they fired the coach that most people didn't like. Again, it's just the same kind of nonsense that happens from time to time. But let's not take it away. They put themselves in this position for people to make fun of their overall process. Though I don't necessarily think the process is a bad one, because it didn't matter if it was Tibbs, if it was Johnny Bryant, Eric Spoelstra. The expectation of this team is to make the finals next year, bar none. They have no excuse. They will have no sympathy. They will have no, no. They have to make the NBA finals, or there will be some serious repercussions if that does not take place. And that's how the whole thing is going to shake out. So, again, my bid is still for Jason Kidd. I still think he'll be the coach of the team, but we will see what happens in the future. Okay. Thank you guys again for listening. Another Solo Dolo episode. We will have a guest the next time you hear me, so we will not just be listening to me and my sweet baritones. Like I said, like, subscribe, review, tell a friend, and I'll be back talking to you guys next week. Have a great and safe weekend, y'all. Later.